Hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. So today we're gonna talk about negative SEO, and this has been a topic of great discussion and a great controversy, especially with some of my clients when I tell them you don't need to submit a disavow file, and they insist that the disavow file is keeping their website alive or ranking. I try to explain to them that that's not really the case. In fact, in many instances, that disavow file is probably doing your site more harm than good. And that's because that's the way our Google's algorithm has been set up. And unless you've been hit by a manual penalty, you probably shouldn't be submitting a disavow file. Now, there are edge cases where you may want to have to submit a disavow file. I mean, over the past 3 months, I've probably seen more instances where submitting a disavow file has been doing more harm than good. You know, let's talk about it in the context of Google's Warehouse API, which I will show you as we cut into my screen, and I'll show you exactly what APIs and how they're working, and also my own personal 2 cents on negative SEO and why even Google's algorithm, despite being upgraded to deal with negative SEO, just doesn't really cut it. All right, so as I mentioned in the intro, Google has a negative SEO algorithm. Now, the algorithm may be far larger than what's been leaked, but this is what we know so far. And also I'm going to add some of my own experience from my testing and from what I'm seeing with client audits and working with different clients, and especially clients that have lost rankings and have been hit by negative SEO. And so all of that will be included in this video. So the APIs reveal how the search giant possibly shields websites from negative SEO attacks. Now, in the past, Google did not have a way of shielding websites from negative SEO attacks. So if you got a whole bunch of spammy links hitting your site, you will lose rankings and you will even be manually penalized, at which point you could appeal the penalty, but the chances of that appeal going through in your favor will be very low. Now, the instances of a manual penalty are very low, but there's the algorithmic penalty that most people worry about, including myself. And so one of the ways people overcome that is by submitting a disavow file. Now, as I'll go into, I'll show you why submitting a disavow file is probably not the best idea. So the next one here is, this is the list of all the APIs that work to shield a website from negative SEO. So you have the demoted end, which end date of the demotion period, but then you have the demotion start, which is the start date of the demotion period. And by demotion, it's not that your website will be demoted forever. It's a temporary demotion. So as soon as the spammy links start hitting your website will go down, and your website will stay down until the negative SEO attack ends, or the attacker thinks that your website has been demoted. Now their job is done, so they'll stop attacking you. At which point, your website starts ranking again to where it was. Now, my experience has been different. Before I go into my experience, there's also what's called a phase count. Following fields record signals used in anchor spam classification. How many spam phrases found in the anchors among unique domains? Now, this has very little to do with spammy links and more to do with using unnatural link building. And I'll explain that. So when you've been hit by lots of spammy links, usually the anchor texts are not going to be very varied. So it's not going to be like 3 or 4 highly targeted anchor texts. It's going to be maybe like 1 or 2 really weird anchor texts. It will be like, for instance, I had a client in the plumbing industry who was ranking for best keyboard. And even though their website did not have the mention of the word keyboard, when I checked their Google Search Console, I saw that they were actually ranking number 4 or 5 for best keyboard in their state. And when I checked the backlinks, I saw that the anchor text, and this is from Google Search Console, and you can do the same. On the left, go down, click on links, click on internal links, and you'll see a whole list of internal links come in. And you can also check their anchor text. When I saw that their anchor text was all the anchors from all the spammy links that were coming in, it said best keyboard and best keyboard. So there were keyboards and keyboard. And so what ended up happening was that Google classified the site, despite the entire site content being about plumbing as being related to best keyboards. And so they started ranking very well for best keyboards. And the website was not demoted. And this is late. This is as of late. So this is maybe like in March. And the website was not demoted. The website didn't receive a manual penalty. But the fact that we had all of those spammy backlinks come in is where this whole this whole algorithm really does not work as Google wants it to work. So at least this is based on what we're seeing with the API. Face count, which records signals used in anchor text classification, actually works in the favor of the spammer. So when you spam best keyboards, so this is working in favor of the spammer and not the spammee. And so at the end of the day, when Google is trying to find unnatural link building based on the anchor text signals, but it's not working as planned. Also, what's not working as planned, at least in my experience, is in many cases, when a site gets demoted by these backlinks, these spammy backlinks coming in, it will be demoted almost immediately as soon as like a few hundred start coming in. And then it will, after the spammy backlinks stop coming in, take around 4 weeks for the website to start ranking again. But it does not rank to where it previously ranked. Also, let's say the spam attack stopped for like 2 weeks. And I'm not going to give an exact date here because I know people are going to use this to try and spam sites. And I know a lot of people watch my videos, so it's dangerous information. And so let's say after 2 weeks, the algorithm starts bringing the website back to where it was. So the website starts improving in rankings. The spammer starts attacking the site again. When that attack starts, that website not only loses rankings, but it loses even more rankings than it did. And the whole period, the period for which the website remains buried, is far longer than it was initially. So if initially it was 2 weeks, it will now be 4 weeks. And so it takes longer for after the attack to end. And usually now what I'm seeing is that a lot of these attacks, they don't stop. And so it's an ongoing attack. And you can submit the disavow file, it does not work. And in some cases, you're doing more harm than good because there may be some links that are coming in organically that are, or maybe they're not even organic, but Google may see that they're passing some juice to you, and they might pass some, and all links pass some juice. If you submit the disavow file, you're not going to get any juice. And the other thing is that if you submit a disavow multiple times, and there are several thousands of these links, after the first few hundred, it does not work. And so you can spin your wheels all you want, it's just not going to work. And then the other thing is, so how does the so-called spam shield work? So I've gone into that and I've explained how the spam shield is supposed to work. So there's a temporary demotion after the attack, and after the attack is over, the site kind of bounces back. But that is not how it works. And again, the submitting the disavow file just does not work. Now, there are some edge cases to this, but we're not going to discuss that. The other thing is, I found that as of late, that submitting a disavow file does more harm than good. So a few test of my test websites, what I did was I started getting in a lot of these spammy backlinks, and what I did was the spammy backlinks did not do anything bad for my site. So my site, the rankings probably, I don't know. I don't think they lost ranking. But as soon as I submitted the disavow file, that's when my ranking started to tank. And so after I removed the disavow file, the ranking started to come back again. And so now I'm at a level that I was before I submitted the disavow file. Now, there are edge cases, as I mentioned, so I'm not going to go into the edge cases. Now, how long a website remains demoted is not mentioned in the algorithm. It's not mentioned in the APIs. There is no clear start date and there's no clear end date. So what the start dates and the end dates, I know based on testing. And sometimes there is no start date and there is no end date. So it cannot start and it cannot end. So if you eliminated all possibilities of what might be going wrong on your site, it's only then that you should look at backlinks or spammy backlinks as it harming your site, because usually that is not always the case. When I get people come in and ask me, hey, I think these spammy backlinks are harming my website. When I do the audit, I see there's so much wrong with their site. There's so much wrong with the technical SEO. There's so much wrong with their on-page SEO. That even if those backlinks were harming their site, it's not their biggest problem. The biggest problem is what's going on their website. So what you always should do is make sure that your on-page is good, and then look at your off-page. And then if you see all of these links coming in, okay, something is wrong, and then you can do something about it. Unfortunately, the algorithm doesn't work in your favor. So even if you're getting a lot of those backlinks, there's very little that you can do to address those issues. Now, there are some other countermeasures, such as building your own semantic network. That's something that I advise that you do because you have full control of it. I have a video on how to build your own semantic network. You can go back, watch my video on how to do it. It's not the simplest thing in the world, but it's a long-term
effort you need to put in, and it's an ongoing effort because you cannot trust Google's algorithm. And based on the information we have, I know this information is flimsy, but it does not work, even based on my testing. And so whether you will look at the phrase days, over how many days 80% of these phrases were discovered. So this is one of the ways that Google's looking at the spammy links coming in. Then the phrase frags, so spam phrases, fractions of all anchors of the document, phrase rates, so average daily rate of a spam anchor discovery. Usually spam anchors are not the types of anchors that you may be targeting on your site. So what this is, it's a two-pronged approach by Google. So with this, Google not only detects the spam anchors coming into your site, but also the anchors that you may be building via unnatural link building, like guest posts, like buying guest posts, like PBNs, cheap PBNs, especially, niche edits, something I made a video about. So if you're getting these niche edits, so Google knows, all right, so this website is plumbing. So the anchor texts that are coming in are kind of like, buy a pie, hire a plumber, how to fix a clogged drain, those kinds of keywords. If they start coming in en masse, Google knows that, you're doing something wrong. The website owner is doing something wrong, as opposed to if you start getting a lot of casino links and a lot of best keyboard type links.
So I hope you guys liked the video. Like and subscribe as always, and I will see you in the next video.